What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the 360 Elite Trading course. I am 360 and I'm excited to have you back. What have we talked about, man? We've talked about Japanese candlesticks, the basics of reading the price action, the individual bars, the individual candles. We've talked about trend lines, how to draw them up the uptrend lines, downtrend lines. You guys are pretty versed in that now. You should be. And then we've talked about as well horizontal support and resistance by way of historical price action lines as well. This class right here, this chapter that we're covering is pretty simple, but it is important, and it's probably not going to take that long because it is relatively easy, but it is still very important. And this chapter is about identifying overall market direction. Everything we do stems off your ability to do that, to identify the overall market direction so that you can know which direction to actually trade in. It doesn't do any good to place a trade if you don't know what is actually going on with price action in the big picture. So what am I talking about when I say overall market direction? Well, it's pretty simple. It's identifying, is the market in an uptrend of some type? Is the market in a downtrend of some type for some time frame? Or there's a third option. We can go up, we can go down. I bet you guessed the third. Man, we can kind of go sideways, and that is called a consolidating market or a sideways market. So yes, I know it sounds simple, but at the core of what we do in using those resistance support lines and trend lines, this is vital, identifying those market directions. So let's just go ahead and get started. Right here on the chart, we have Bitcoin. Yes, it's zoomed out. You're literally looking at Bitcoin from 2015 to current. It's pretty zoomed out. Let's go ahead and get in here and get some of these lines drawn. Now, besides just talking about a market direction being either in an uptrend, a downtrend, or whether it's consolidating, the other component to this I want to get into is price action inside of the uptrend and price action inside of the downtrend. And we call that basically pullbacks. You can also have consolidation within an uptrend. And we also call that bounces or dead cat bounces in a downtrend. So those are the other identifying factors that even though you have an uptrend, you can still have other confluences going on within that trend. Like you can pull out a massively stretched 30-year trend, and within that, and let's say that ends up being an uptrend, and literally within that uptrend, you can have short periods on smaller time frames of downtrends within that larger picture. That is very likely, very possible. That's why we always work from zooming out to zooming in. Because if on a small time scale you see a downtrend, well, if you zoom out, is that downtrend still occurring, or is that a downtrend in a larger uptrend? That would be good to know before you actually take a trade. That's good information. That's valid data. So that's why we always start with the zoomed out picture before we zoom in. Hopefully that makes good sense. But anyway, let's start with Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and open this up a bit. From 2015 literally to that peak in 2017, you can look at this and this is what? The market direction is what? Generally speaking, this is an uptrend. Let's zoom out to 2015 price action. Open this up a little bit. There we go. Before it starts getting crazy. And here you can follow these bars and you can see that this is definitely up. And of course, go ahead and throw your lines up on that. And remember, when we do an uptrend, I don't always just like to throw the lower line, which provides support. I like to see if I can chamber that within a channel, or if I can, block that pattern in with a top line as well. And you can see here, we can do that very clearly with two lines. Like I said, a lot of traders only draw this uptrend and don't complete the full picture. I love to go ahead and throw that. This is a perfect channel from January 2015, literally till it broke out in May 2017, almost a 2-year a 2-year channel here, perfectly encapsulated between these two trend lines. And as you can see, even this top one came into play later, which you can see right here as support. So if you never would have drawn this top line, you would maybe not have seen where this would drop, where this would pull back to. So always encapsulate this market direction we know is an uptrend. Pretty easy, pretty simple, pretty simple. Now, all of a sudden, price gets cantankerous and we see yet another uptrend. This time, we have a more serious elevation. So let's go ahead and see what we can do here. Kind of doing the same thing. And we're going for most touches. This is just so you can get that big picture. All right, right there, we have a more elevated uptrend. A more elevated uptrend. Well, even inside of here, you can continue to do this picture. You can continue. Where it gets mega steep. Where it gets mega steep. And remember what I told you in the last class we had about this. Very important for you to know. The steeper these trends get, the steeper the momentum gets, the steeper, the more elevated these lines become, the less length of time they're probably going to last, okay? They're going to last a lot less than a more gradual incline. As you can see here, this was pretty much close to that parabolic move. This was the parabolic portion of Bitcoin where it got really, really steep and signaled based on this elevation that, hey, this is pretty much going to be the end. So even within the trend, we have another trend. So you can have other uptrends inside of a larger time frame uptrend. And you can see many of these smaller trends within the larger trend. I mean, you can just take your time and do this. Have some fun, popping charts, popping these lines up, and you can see other price action, other increase. We can even do this one here. Look at this. This is very simple. Very simple. Okay, I want you to go back and do this so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Uptrends within a larger time frame uptrend. And we could even break this down here and kind of do the same. This is a lot more gradual, but you can see steeper uptrends, steeper uptrends, steeper uptrends, even inside of this longer term trend. I'm not going to draw those for you, but you could actually do that. You could actually do that. All right, so there's our uptrend example of market direction, being able to find that, see that, visualize it, throw your lines up there, get them chambered, encapsulated if you can, between the top and the bottom lines. Most traders don't do that. They just draw the bottom uptrend line, and that to me is a mistake. I like to see that top line because then I know potential targets and where a resistance could be when it gets to the top of that channel. So after that, we have the eventual downtrend, or we entered into the bear market territory. So I'm going to open this up a little bit. And we draw that beginning from the top down. From the top down. But remember, we still want to try to encapsulate this as well. So we draw the bottom. I'm doing it very roughly. I'm not trying to get these accurate. I want you to just see it so that you guys can see it and draw. This is so you can identify overall market direction. So obviously here, something has happened. Something has changed. We have a new market direction. It is now a downtrend. All right, so we have uptrending markets, downtrending markets, and even within this downtrend, I mean, you could literally draw plenty of encapsulating downtrends in and amongst it as the primary direction, showing you the primary direction of the market. I mean, look at them all. I said I wasn't going to do it, but I'm going to throw them up here just so you can see that it works for both uptrend and downtrend. This is so obvious what's happening and very easy to encapsulate. It only takes a second. Even here, we have one. I mean, so there you go. Downtrends within an overall downtrend market. Even this is still down. Ah, beautiful. Easy to identify, easy to see. Look at that. Look how that looks. Pretty incredible, right? So when the markets aren't going up and they're not going down, they're not uptrending, they're not downtrending, we talked about a consolidating market. And we have the great example once Bitcoin did finally bottom out. Here around 3,000, we have a sideways or a consolidating market structure. Right there. So I want to show you something here, and that's sideways, consolidating. A lot of people thought that that's what this was up here. I'm going to take these lines off. A lot of people thought that this was it. This area right here, after it had come down and bottomed, and we talked about this a little bit the other day. We had this low, this low, this low, but this was holding. This was holding, and people were like, man, that's the bottom. That's the end of the bear market. And then we had a sideways. We even came into a sideways where it looked like these bounces were done. And people were like, well, that's it. And a lot of people entered here. This is the sideways market. This is where, it's over. The bottom is in. But remember what I talked about in our last chapter, these lower lows kind of just indicated that this door is getting beaten on, but there's less and less buyers on the bounces. And so they entered this consolidating thinking, well, that's it. It's over. It's done. We're going to come out of here with flying colors and off it goes. But no, even though this was a sideways or a consolidating market, we knew because of this structure that the market was going to head lower, and sure enough it did, into its final resting point, its final consolidating market area. Now, what clued you that this was in fact the bottom? Even though this is consolidating, this is sideways trending, what was the clue here that this was in fact the bottom of the bear market? Well, very simply, the fact that we began to see, even though this is going sideways, we began to see higher and higher lows. We're still in this sideways area, but we started having these higher and higher lows, which for me indicated that this was in fact the bottom area. And we did in fact come out and had a mini bull market here. I'm not going to draw this trend. You can see obviously that it's an uptrend. You can draw that stuff yourself. But in fact, the market did come down later and retest this consolidation area or this bottom area and ended up being yet another opportunity of buying. Yet another opportunity of buying down here in the 3,000s, which ended up being brilliant. So we have within this area, you can see plenty of consolidating market areas or sideways moving market areas. There's smaller ones, sideways markets. Not really bullish, not really bearish. So in and of themselves, you have to take into other things into account to determine what the market's going to do coming out of these systems or these pattern flows. But I just want you to get in there and start marking these and drawing them out so you can determine market direction. Is it uptrend? Is it downtrend? Or is it consolidating or moving sideways? Just open up a chart and start drawing them. We kind of have another one. Look at this. I mean, this is pretty easy. Pretty easy. Got another one down here. Really, the market's directionless for the most part, with some modifications, but it is kind of going sideways. Not really going up, not really going down. You can see how that works. Consolidating or sideways market. Okay, now that you can get the basic direction on small time frames, large time frames, remember large time frames first, then narrow down before you identify your overall market direction. I want to show you within these structures, I want to talk about other market direction patterns, and these are called pullbacks. Pullbacks on uptrending markets, they're called pullbacks. Let's start with this first area right here. Here's our first area that we drew. We drew our overall market direction is in an uptrend. Yay, great job. Even within this, I mean, you can see those sideways areas. Those sideways areas. So you can come back in here and kind of draw those. You have plenty of them. Where the market's not really going in a direction. However, what I want to talk about is the pullbacks. The pullbacks. When you have an uptrending market, nothing just goes straight up. Nothing, and you in the cryptoverse, in the crypto universe, you would think so because people keep using words like moon and Lambo, and they have this opinion of this idea that once something starts to rocket, it should just rocket all the way up to heaven, and everybody should be rich. That's just not how it works. In an uptrend, you will have moments of pullbacks. Let's use our arrow. Let's use our arrow tool. Arrow. Bang. Bang. Look at this. Beautiful. Lots of them. Lots of them. These are called pullbacks. Does that mean that the uptrend is done or that they've been violated? No, it does not. They are simply dips in price. So you get some selling. They're profit taking. It's sellers taking profits on this during this uptrend. During this uptrend, people will take profits. And then your buyers come back in around those trend lines. And when it does, it validates that the trend is intact. And then profits are taken. Trend continues. Profits are taken. And you get some of this meandering sometimes where we don't know what's going to happen right now. But look what happened right around the trend line. Boom. Buyers stepped in. Profit taking. Got some sideways kind of bounced up, but it's still going up. This is still trending up. And then bang. And then right out that top bar, profit taking and sellers. Can you see the trading opportunities? If you said yes, you are getting the hang of this already. Now, this doesn't show you the entries where you're putting your stops, but can you, just from looking at this and identifying these market patterns, these market direction patterns, can you now see trading opportunities? If we know that trading is based off buying low and selling high, we know we want to trade in the direction of the trend, which here is up. Where would you want to find your trades? Man, a lot of times you can find them on these pullbacks. By identifying these pullbacks within an uptrend, you can find trades. That's one strategy for finding trades. Now, I'll get down into those details when we get into actual trade strategy, but I just wanted you to see how amazing identifying these overall market directions are. Let's look at this bigger structure up here. Let's look at this bigger structure that we have drawn. I mean, this should now be easy. I mean, I'm not having to spend a lot of time doing this. You are pretty much getting the idea until eventually, bang, we have a actual destruction. So we're not going to draw that one. Okay, the reverse is true on a downtrend. In a downtrend, you will have what are called bounces. Some people call them dead cat bounces. And dead cat is a little bit more specific of a type of bounce. However, for the purpose of this, we're just going to call them bounces. And by the way, you don't have to draw them with arrows. I'm doing it so you can see them because I have all these other lines drawn. You can still draw trend lines on these bounce patterns. You can still chamber them or encapsulate them within lines. I'm just using this to give you the visual of these bounces before all of a sudden no more bounces. So these are, in a downtrend, you have bounces. This is kind of one right here, a smaller one. I didn't draw it, but you can see it right here. The goal here is for you to be able to visually see these and spot these in your charting. Draw them lines on there. Go back through charts. Pull up a daily chart of Ethereum and go and just open that chart up and start drawing these. Do it for Litecoin. Practice, 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 practice doing this. It's very easy to do. It's very easy to do. I mean, this is not rocket science, and this is supposed to be a short class for a reason, but this is vital for you to understand and know how in the scope of your training for charts. In the scope of your training for charts. So we're not going to do the rest. I think you got the big picture. Overall market direction, uptrends, downtrends, consolidating or sideways, and then within those market trends or within the consolidation, you could find other trends, and you can find other patterns as well, such as pullbacks, bounces, pullbacks also called dips. We call those dips, and consolidation patterns and bounces on a downtrend. That's pretty simple. Hopefully this visual here on the chart gave you an idea, but I do want you to practice this, even though it is simple. I do want you to be able to understand how to identify the overall market direction. Man, that's pretty much it for this class. I told you it would be short, nice and sweet. I am looking forward to the next one. Hope you loved it. Until next time, here comes the boom.